Hello my friends from the internet, Survive with Knife here today I'm going to do another knife review. I haven't done a knife review in a little while, so I thought today, since I've used this knife, had it for about 4 months, I thought I would just go ahead and talk about it. When I originally bought this knife, I was looking at it being something similar to the Mora knives that I have. For example, the Mora Clipper here. Really like this knife a lot. I've had this knife here for more than a year. I expected it to be something similar to that, and as we go through the review here, you notice I'm a little disappointed with it actually, but let's get started here. The handle scales, the handle material here is made of polypropylene. It does have a grippy texture. However, my main criticism for this knife is the shape of this handle. If you guys can look at it there, you can see it's kind of like a teardrop shape with a rather bulbous top to it and a pretty sharp edge right here. I did see that originally, obviously before I purchased the knife I did notice the handle being like that. However, I did not expect the level of discomfort that I actually ended up experiencing with it. Through extended use of using it as a bushcrafting type tool, this really does dig into the hands and is uncomfortable. If they would not have had this sharp edge right here, if they would have rounded this off more, then it would have been fine. Maybe a little bit more like, let's see here. Let's take the Mora. I believe this is the Mora Classic. You can see this round handle. It's more gradually rounded here at the bottom, which makes it much more comfortable for extended use in pushing through hardwood. So in that way, I'm going to say that the handle is a complete fail, in my opinion. Now, if you use this knife for other tasks other than wood processing, you probably won't run into those issues. Next thing we'll look at, jimping. There is none on this knife, but I really wouldn't expect any on a knife of this size, nor do I really need it. The blade steel is made of 416 or 4116 Krupp. From cold steel, it has a Rockwell hardness of 56 or 57. I do like this steel. I have seen other examples on the internet of it failing and chipping out, but I have not experienced that. I do also have the cold steel folding or pocket Bushman, and that one also has the 416 Krupp steel, and I've been very happy with it. It's held up very well, and I've not seen it have any issues with rusting either. The factory edge was very good. This still has original factory edge, with me hitting it up a little bit on a fine diamond stone to just keep it really nice and sharp. Let's see here if I do have a piece of paper I could use. I can kind of demonstrate its edge. It does have a very good edge. You can see that it really does. It takes care of paper at least pretty well. The blade shape, as you can see, is just a standard straight back blade. There is no clip or drop point on this knife. I don't mind that. That's completely fine for things like striking a fire steel or even some small batoning. Works great. A little unlike the Clipper, or this is not the Clipper, but this is the Classic. Has a slight clip point. So other than that, though, the blade shapes are very similar to the Mora. Actually, I kind of skipped over one thing. I did want to talk about this, and this is the grind on this knife. This does have a hollow grind with a secondary bevel right here going down to the edge. Now, in looking at this knife before I purchased it, I thought it was going to have a very similar edge as the Mora's Mora knives do. Bring out the Mora Bushcrafter here. You can see this here has what's known as the Scandi edge on it, which is a single grind, flat, not hollow or convex, but goes all the way down to the edge with no secondary bevel. As you can see that difference between those two. The Scandi grind, I will tell you, is one of the best edges for bushcrafting. You will just not find a better edge. Pushing this knife through a stick or whatever, or a piece of wood to make a bow drill set or whatever, is going to be much more fluid, will just cut way better than this here edge will. And that is from my experience. I have used this knife here to create a bow drill set. I cannot say that it was the most enjoyable experience. The blade size on this knife here is 4 inches exactly in length. The knife weight is 2.8 ounces, which is really light, along with the nylon sheath here. Is a very light combination. So if you're looking at lightweight knives, it does fit that bill. Next thing is ergonomics. I already talked about that and really dissed that. The knife sheath is nylon, as I mentioned. Let's look at the rolls that this particular knife would take out in the field. When I originally got this knife, I would have put it more in the role of a survival knife, using it for, wood processing, at least in bushcraft type wood processing. Maybe not batoning as much, but at least in wood processing. However, since I've used the knife, I just really don't think it fits that role very well, and really belongs in the role of food preparation, and maybe only that. That's really how I've kind of incorporated it into my my camping and hiking and survival kit. I've really just resigned this knife to a food processing, fish filleting and gutting and cutting up vegetables and so forth. That's really what I've been using it for. It's just it did not work well enough as a bushcrafting knife for me. You could also use it, as a, it does have a little bit more. You can choke up here with it. The blade width is not maybe the best for small game processing, but it would still work. This would work for that particular purpose. As a utility knife, yeah, you could probably use it as a utility knife also. It would probably serve pretty well in that role. Food preparation, or just, utility knife for cutting rope, cutting open boxes and things like that. Cool factor, really this knife really just doesn't have that. I do have to say, price wise, I think I paid around, actually I don't even really remember, I think maybe $19, $18 for this knife, but when you look in comparison to what you can get for actually less, I mean, most of these Moras come in around $10. And I really honestly just have to say that the Mora knives really just do give you more knife for the dollar. Now, I will have to concede that this here is a stainless steel, whereas these two the clipper here and the classic, these are carbon steel knives and they will rust. As you can see, my clipper, which I've had for quite a while, does definitely have well, it has quite a bit of wear and tear on it, but also does have a little bit of pitting and oxidation there. So, whereas the 416 Krupp will serve better because of the fact that it is actually a stainless steel. Now the Bushcrafter from Mora that I have here is also a stainless steel, but this does come at a little bit higher price point than what the Finbear does. But I do say that this knife has more capability. Obviously, it can, all these knives can do well in food processing. But this knife here will not serve well, I don't believe, in bushcrafting, whereas the rest of these do quite well in that particular role. A knife of this size, in my opinion, is also not really the overall best survival type blade. Now, some people would disagree with me, and they do like the smaller blades for survival type purposes. However, if I'm out in the woods and I only have one knife, even though I do really like the Moras, I'm not going to choose that as my single knife that I'm going to carry. I want something that gives me more capability. A larger knife, still has the ability to do the the wood processing, bush crafting type things that the smaller knife does. It maybe not quite as well, but it can still do it. However, a smaller knife of this size will not and is completely incapable of performing some of the tasks that a larger fixed blade survival knife can do. Like some of my favorites, my Cold Steel Trailmaster, the Recon Scout, the SRK, just examples, like a large K-bar, like the Heavy Bowie from K-bar. These are fixed, large bladed survival knives, and that's what I would really want if I came down to a one knife scenario. But if I have the option to have more knives, then I can carry one of these. If I'm gonna, let's say I'm a 3-blade system, I'll take maybe a Mora knife for bushcrafting, this for food processing, so that it's a clean blade I can use for processing my food, and then a large fixed blade survival knife. But if it does come down to one knife and one knife only, I will not choose any knife of this size. And that is simply my opinion. So getting back to the actual topic at hand, the Cold Steel Fin Bear, I will have to say, likability scale, out of a 10-point scale, I'm really going to have to say I can really probably only give this knife probably a 5 or 6 out of 10. Let's look at how it does fit in the sheath. It does fit quite well. It is not going to drop out, and I've not experienced that either. So it does fit quite well within the sheath, even though I'm not a really big fan of these nylon type sheaths either. But it does at least serve the purpose of covering the blade. So there you go, guys. That's my review on the Cold Steel Fin Bear. Let me know what you guys think, and have a good day.